Hey everyone, hope you're having a good week. So today we're going to do something slightly different. I'm still going to do my usual book review, but I'm going to temper it in with a little movie comparison. Because today we're talking about something that I'm sure, unless you're like 5 years old, you've heard of this, because it's a classic. It is The Hobbit by JRR Tolkien. And as you might notice, this isn't your standard version of the book. It's, kind of fairly well known or among my friends and all that I'm a little obsessed with, Lord of the Rings. It's right up there with Disney, Halloween, Harry Potter. And as I found with Harry Potter fandom, a lot of folks have watched the movie, but haven't read the book and think they know the whole story, aren't missing anything. So I figure I'll give you a little, comparison, and you can decide for yourself whether it's something you enjoy and if, you really feel like you're missing out by only enjoying it in one medium. So the movie, don't get me wrong, I love it, especially normally long hair is a turn off for me, but those Tolkien guys know how to rock it. So one of the big changes they made in the movie versus the book for The Hobbit is how much attention all the dwarves got instead of it just mostly being Thorin. Which is fun because Keely was hot. So I'm okay with that love story. That little hint in the book, it doesn't exist. There is no Tauriel, there is no Legolas, it's just the dwarves, Gandalf, and, Bilbo that are running everything mostly. We do start off the same. We get a little bit more sass in the books. We get to see Bilbo more coming into himself and getting bold and, getting into things and giving some attitude that we don't really see a lot of in the movies. They come banging on his door in the middle of supper, which you do not interrupt a hobbit during meal times. Like, in America, we have our normal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or supper, some folks call it, and a little snack. No, the hobbits have something that I could definitely get behind. I might be a bit of a hobbit myself, is second breakfast and supper and dinner, along with, various meals throughout the day. And so he's sitting down to have his meal, and somebody comes banging on his door. And, of course, being a nice little hobbit, they're very mild-mannered and sweet, mostly. Bilbo is not quite your normal dwarf, but still, he was raised well. Somebody's banging on the door, he goes to check it out, and here's our first dwarf showing up unannounced, unknown. They don't really get visitors in the Shire. And, by the time all 13 of the dwarves arrive, which, as is in a lot of places, it's a superstitious bad number, so they need a 14th and a thief, which is where Bilbo comes in, though he doesn't take kindly to being called a thief, or to having a bunch of dwarves and a huge, kind of scary wizard showing up on his front porch. And we get to see a first little bit of sass is, his door has been freshly painted last week, thank you very much. There is no mark on it, and Gandalf, quite proud of himself, is, there is a mark on your door, because I put it there yesterday, so all the dwarves could find it. And, we go through them having their meal, and Bilbo finding out what's, in store for him, and doesn't really want to do it, but how dare they not think that he can, so his pride kind of gets the best of him, and he ends up joining with the dwarves and Gandalf on their mission to go to the other end of Middle-earth to reclaim their mountain home and all their gold from Smaug, who has pretty much killed everybody and taken over their treasure and their home, because that's what dragons do. So we set off on our adventure, and, in the movie, there's a nice little song and a lot of sass, and we get to actually see a wizard that doesn't, come into play in the book, which I love him. He's fun. He's just, we have the brown wizard as opposed to Gandalf's gray, and he lives, in the woods and has, whereas you think of sleds and you think of, big old fluffy husky sled dogs. No, he's got a sled pulled by a bunch of ginormous bunnies that are so cute, and I wish they were real. I would snuggle the heck out of them. And, we get these creepy spiders climbing on his little home, and he's trying to save this sick hedgehog, and he might be a little crazy, but he's an animal lover, so we'll forgive him. He's fun. But he's not in the books, so don't worry. Trust me, we still have some fun. And they do this still traveling along, but one of the other big things that is very different from the book and the movie, how they find their way to Rivendell. In the movie, they're running from an orc pack. And just like, oh, here, we're gonna slide down this, boulder and wander in. Orcs do not come into play in the books. It's goblins. And some of the storylines in the movie don't exist at all. They didn't just get the creatures wrong. But, they kind of wander along, get a little lost, and eventually find their way in, and we find out how kind of mouthy the elves can be. They're just, pretty much kind of hiding off somewhere, singing, but it's not a polite song. They're pretty much making fun of the entire, traveling host that's wandered into Rivendell. And Gandalf gets a little snarky with him that, shut up. People could be listening. We don't want to hear your crap. We're tired. So, everybody is a little bit snarkier in the books than in the movies. And I love that sass. Honestly, I don't know why they left that out, or I guess not quite as visually appealing. But I love how, everyone gives everyone attitude in the books so much more. Though, the dwarves kind of, in the book, they kind of get the shaft. Thorin, he's the king. He's, end all be all, runs dwarves. So he gets lines, and his right-hand man gets a little bit, but everyone else is just, here's kind of what they look like and how they rank on the totem pole and what we send them off to do. They don't really get lines. We don't get as much development of them. So, I do enjoy that, and it was pretty funny in the movie watching, Keely go, oh, she's cute. That's not a girl. That's just how elves are. Though, to be fair, if you watch Lord of the Rings, the same can be said of the dwarves, that you can't tell the guys and girls apart because they all have beards. So, there's a little revenge if you watch all the movies and read the books. They do their thing, and, we do get the scene where they're hiding out in the caves from a storm, and goblins, pretty much sneak up and kidnap them all. And honestly, in the book, it is a much better scene. They should have kept to that. There's a lot more fighting going on. The whole scene where, Bilbo finally gets the ring is a lot better. There's, more drama to it of, oh crap, I think I'm gonna get eaten. And he gets a lot more feisty with it. And we get to kind of see out loud and in his head that he's a little bit more daring than everyone suspected. And he's a lot snarkier. And we also get to see how the dwarves get out, because of course, they get separated in the running in the dark and having to fight for their lives, as well as, where the heck are we? Even Gandalf isn't 100% sure. And that just, it leads into, the next bit where, if you watch the movies, they are stranded in a bunch of trees going, oh crap, somebody's out to get us. There's fire, there's enemies, and again, in the book, it's goblins and wargs. In the movies, it's this orc that has, like, this blood feud with them of, well, I'm the one that slaughtered all you people, and now there's a bounty on your head, and I'm out for revenge. And they show up trying to off him. And it's just, in a way, it's dramatic. And Bilbo gets to prove that, he's kind of got more to him than even he thinks. But it's not nearly, to me, it's not as dramatic and as exciting as the scene is written in the actual book that Tolkien came up with, where, the goblins and the wolves were just there doing their thing and plotting their own evil, because goblins and wargs are not exactly nice. I mean, come on now, when have you ever heard of a polite goblin? So, and they end up kind of catching what? They're spying on us. We're going to take them out. They don't realize that this party was just trying to get the heck out of there and get back to their original mission. So we get some fun ensuing on that. And we do end up, getting saved by the eagles. And in the book, it's more fun because you get it from basically Bilbo's perspective of, oh crap, I'm, 3 feet at best. And here's this ginormous eagle that's caught me in his talons like a little bunny and flying him. And he doesn't do well with heights. No, they don't do heights. They don't do water. They don't do any of that stuff if you're a hobbit. And now he's like, barely dangling out of the talons of an eagle, getting flown through the night, having a complete meltdown, and then getting yelled at for it when, Gandalf realizes, don't be ungrateful to something that could eat you, because they're nice, they're not eating you. And he's like, you gonna start some crap. And kind of gets onto him, and he's still having his freak out. And it's just, he doesn't say most of it out loud, so, they can't film it, but in the books you get to read it, and he's got a lot going on in his head. He's a little crazy. No, justifiable. And of course, he's a little munchkin. As you know, the shorter we are, the feistier and meaner we are. And maybe a little bit crazier. So it comes out. So, and it kind of follows the movie, kind of doesn't. And eventually the whole scene with Bjorn, they get kind of right. I wish it had been more true to the books, because it's so much more visually amazing, but it probably would have taken a lot of CGI, even more than what was already there. Because, in the books, I'm okay with them not showing, like, bees freaking the size of my hands. No, I don't like bees. They can stay outside and be there when I'm not there. Zero shame, and I am freaking terrified of them. They like to chase me, because apparently they have an obsession with redheads like everyone else. But, go pollinate my flowers and my strawberries. Leave me alone. But there's also really pretty, there's like horses and dogs and sheep and all kinds of like really cool, gorgeous animals that are just, we're gonna sit down at the table and have a meal with, the people. Which, that would have been fun to see, but it's in the book and you can picture it in your head, but you don't get to see it in the movies. And the same thing with them going through the forest, like, Bilbo gets to really show out and, come into his own in Mirkwood. And in the movies, the elves steal all his glory. And again, don't get me wrong, it's pretty good in the movies. But I really wanted to see Bilbo just going, alright, it's time for the munchkin to shine. And just go all, took on him, basically. And just let out his, crazy little side. But in the books, it's a good several pages, and it's just fun. And, he's sitting here taunting them and doing all kinds of crap and getting the spiders riled up. So, I love it. I'm so mad that they left that one out. And, it's kind of the same thing with once they end up in the Wood Elves' kingdom. Bilbo really gets to shine, but it's not as visually stunning. It's cool to read, and it plays out very differently. He's sneakier, and even with their escape, it's kind of the same method, but they add a lot more in the movies to make it more visually entertaining. But we don't get into, again, in Bilbo's head, where we get to find out how snarky he is, and, yeah. Every now and then he can be kind of self-centered, and it happens. Makes it more, relatable. And it's just one of the things that they change, and I love how sneaky he is, and it eventually, comes out later, whereas, we don't get to have that, kind of very Bilbo-y moment in the movies, since they changed that scene so much. And they even, parts of the ending they get right, parts of it they change, and more than just, switching out the goblins for the orcs. But I love the ending of the movie, aside from, unfortunately they keep the deaths correct, and that part is sad. But it's actually the movie, a lot of it, the ending makes me laugh just because those dwarves are going insane and having so much fun. And I love the guy that plays Dane. He gets some really good lines, but what really kicks it over the edge for me is, if, like me, you're also a big fan of Harry Potter and Disney, it's freaking perfect, because the guy that plays Dane is also Merida's dad in my favorite Disney movie, Brave, which totally gets the shaft anytime I try to find stuff by her. Yeah, I keep getting, oh, do you want Elsa? But that's a rant for another time. But on top of, so we get our connection from Lord of the Rings and Disney, but Merida's almost father-in-law is voiced by the guy that plays Hagrid in Harry Potter. So we get the tie-in of all three from this very snarky, bring it on dwarf. And he does have some sass in the books too. So, they're both very fun. I love them. I've read the book multiple times since I was little. I've seen the movies more times than I can count. But you definitely can't just do, to me, if you only do one version or the other, you miss out on so much, because they change a lot, and it's wrong, but I understand why, and it's just fun. Plus, well, there's some visual appeal. Not gonna lie, I kind of like some of the added scenes just because I like to look. But you do miss a lot of the, in his head, and some of the best lines that Bilbo has from the book. And kind of like how the butler is always the best in any movie or TV show, Bilbo is definitely the best. And you miss a lot of that by only watching the movies. So hopefully, if you somehow have not seen or read, The Hobbit or anything Tolkien, now you'll decide to pick it up. And if you've only done one or the other, go give the other medium a try and enjoy. Hope y'all have a great day. See you next time.